How to Fail at College by Stephen A. Jeffrey. College is a great way to earn a living. And it's not. It's a great way to lose your shirt. Because you will spend a fortune to pass college. And then nobody will give you a job. And that's the way to fail college, to really believe that. Because it's just not true. You can get a job, but only if you pass. And I mean pass. I don't mean get A's. Because you can get A's and still not get a job. That's if you do a science degree. But not in some countries, only in Australia. And that's the truth. So don't do science. Unless you like the idea of travel. Because if you do, science is right for you. And of course that's not true. You may be bad at maths. And even if you're good at science you may never pass. And that was the advice that was given to me by a guidance counselor. And I didn't take it. And that was the way to fail college. Because it was good advice. But it could have been bad advice. Because I was very good at biology. And if I had a course that was right for me, I could have passed. A course that didn't involve higher mathematics. And I know of one such course, but they still teach mathematics, but not at such a high level. So the course is environmental studies. So maybe I could have passed that. Because that was my first preference. You have to list your preferences. And mine was biology first. And that was the way to fail at college. But it's not true. Mine was environmental studies first. And that was the way to pass. And perhaps not. Perhaps arts would have been better. And I'm sure it would have. And I'm not. Because arts is very boring, at least to me. It's not boring to other people. And I wouldn't be so sure about that. Arts can be very boring. Because the subjects are not interesting. And of course that's not true. But it's true for me. So don't burn the book. If you're an arts student. Because I went on to study arts, and I found it interesting. At least I did find some studies interesting. And that doesn't include journalism. Because I didn't like the way it was taught. I've seen a teacher do better at a TAFE college. So maybe I'm wrong. Because my teachers will say so. But I don't think TAFE is half bad. But if you have already done journalism, then the way to fail TAFE is to do journalism again. And it is. Because I did just that. But perhaps a journalism school would be better. One that prepares you for television. And I don't doubt that that's not the case. A school is a school. But a college is a college. You can't expect to get a degree without going to college. You may get some kind of diploma. And it's not worth the paper it's written on. And it is. It is better than nothing. I would be happy to have one. But I didn't try to get a diploma. I tried to get a degree. So that's what this book is about. Why I didn't get a degree. And that isn't a better title. But it isn't bad. Because most people would think the opposite. That Why I Did Get a Degree would be a good book. But not as good as this one. Because college is a strange place, and it takes a strange book to tell you how to succeed. So this book will be funny. It will. It won't be rude. It will be. And it won't be. I know how college students write very badly. But only when they are writing for their own publications. And this one will be no better. So what do you think? Do you think it will be better? Just leaf through it. And you will find out it only has 2 pages. Because that's all I wrote at first. Just enough to see if there was material for a book. And there is. But not mine. Mine can never be written. And of course it can. I just have to write it. So believe me, this book will never be written, because I have written textbooks in the past. At least that's what they seemed like they were. On high school economics and Einstein's theory of relativity. Not books a failure would write. And that is not true, because a failure did write them. But I don't consider myself to be a failure. Because a lecturer told me the truth. And he was more than a lecturer, he was a head of program. And he told me this, that the glass is half empty, and not half full. And that's just not so. He told me the glass is half full, and not half empty. And I believed him. It gave me faith in myself. Faith enough to attempt 2 books. And that's the truth. 2 separate books written at the same time. And I never thought I could do that. But I surprised myself. And I did. Because I was able to write both books. And you shouldn't be able to write books, unless you have a degree. And that's just not true. But I believed that lie. I wasn't prepared to start my book, until I had left college. So I was able to achieve something. But not much. And that's the truth. I wasn't able to achieve very much, until I realized I was a better person for having been to college. And then I got a job. A very good job. One that pays a lot of money. And if that was the case, this would be a different book. It would make failure look appealing. But it's not appealing, and it is. Because you bought this book. Because you were afraid of failing. You were afraid of not passing your course. So you believe me. That you can do something to save yourself from failure. And that's what this book is all about. It could be called How to Succeed at College. But it's not. Because I want to show you how to do the opposite. To do everything wrong. To do so many things wrong, that you cannot help but fail. And knowing what's wrong won't teach you what's right. And that is true. But I won't tell you what's right. I'll leave you to work that out yourself. And of course I won't. I can still tell you the difference between right and wrong. And you won't like it. Because it will mean you will have to work. And work hard. And that is not true. You can pass college without working too hard. So tell me the name of the college, because I would like to go there. So that's the way, to fail at college, to say just that. Because you can't pass without doing some work. Maybe not as much as some people, but perhaps more than you have ever done in your life. So this is no cure-all. I'm not just telling you things that you can do wrong. And of course I am. Of course this is a cure-all. And it is. It's meant to make you laugh. But maybe I can't do that. And I wouldn't bet on it. I can make you laugh. Because you won't like what you hear. You will want college to be easy. And it's just not. But you must like hard work. You must learn to like it. That's how to succeed at college. To like what you do. Whether you think it's right or not. But learning how to succeed is no fun. And it is. If you teach people how to fail first. So I'm not saving anything for later. I don't want you to read this book. And I mustn't. Because I'm just speaking a lot of words. But words are what a book is made out of. So you can see how easy it is to write a book. You just have to keep raving on. And that's not true. You have to know what you are talking about. You have to know your subject well. Well enough to write this book. Because I know this subject very well. But only from my own perspective. I haven't caused other people to fail. And that's what I will say when the book is finished. I won't say I have caused people to succeed. Because I can't do that. I can only cause them to fail. And that is true. Because I didn't pass. And that's not entirely the truth. I passed more than half my units. And perhaps that's close to the truth. And it's not even close. But it is. I nearly passed half my units. And that's pretty close to the truth. But the truth is I passed less than half my units. And that's pretty brutal. So I will say I passed half. And I think that's fair enough. Because many units I didn't actually do. I only started them. But if you don't finish, you get incomplete. And incomplete is a terrible grade. It gives you no credit for anything you have done. So do anything to avoid getting that grade, even if it means taking exams twice. If a lecturer asks you to take another exam, say no. That is the way to fail at college. But if he asks you to take 2 other exams, say yes. That is the way to succeed. The way to succeed at college is not to fail. That's why this book will help. And it will. But if you think you will fail, you shouldn't be at college. Because somebody else might pass. And they might. They might fail too. So never feel you're depriving somebody else of a place. Feel exactly that. If you're not trying hard, then you may try harder. And that won't work. Because you don't have to study too hard. You don't have to read a book. And that's exactly what you have to do. You have to read many books. And that is the way to fail. To read many books. Even if you can read quickly. And some people may think this. And they won't be wrong. Because reading books takes time. Time that can be better spent writing. Because writing is better than reading, and it is. Because you must have your own opinion. If you don't, you will fail. And that's only at arts, and it is. Because you need to express your own opinion to pass an arts course. And of course that's how to succeed, it's not how to fail. But I can tell you how to fail. To believe you can do anything. To believe that everything is right for you. Because everything is not. But some things are. So if you believe me, you are right to. But this book will never be written, because I don't think it's right for me. Because I called my lecturer a communist. Because he tried to explain something called Marxian philosophy. And he wasn't a communist. My other lecturer was. So I called him a communist too. And that won me no points. Because he asked me to man a booth. To help others who were interested in journalism. So I thought this would win me points. So I didn't man the booth. And I should have done just that. Because I told one girl she should become a nun. Because that's what she said she wanted to do. And I missed a great opportunity to change history. Because she would never become a nun, she would become a prostitute. And that's not funny. But that never happened. Because I told her to become a nun. And she is now serving God. So that's not meant to be funny. That's what you can do at college. You can save someone's life. Because journalism is no fun. And of course it is. Tell that to somebody who can't get a job. So not everybody's like that. But I am. I'm perfect. And of course I'm out of my mind. Why would she want to become a nun? Because she liked nuns. She went to a parochial school. So why shouldn't she become a nun? Because they have vows of celibacy. And that's why I said she shouldn't become a nun. And it's not. I said if she was right for that kind of life, then she should become a nun. But it wasn't my place to do so. Because I had a job. To tell people about journalism. But I thought it was fun to ask them what they were good at. And if I had done that, I would have done a good job. But I asked people what they wanted to do. And that would have been an even better job. And none of that is true. I suggested to them that they might be better off on television. That was a career that could be achieved. But that journalism wasn't. And I was wrong. She wasn't a television personality. She was a journalist. And I prevented her from pursuing her career. And that just isn't so. It's not. She never would have made a journalist. So I shouldn't have tried to make her believe it was a good career. And that's not true. I had a job. To make journalism sound good. And I failed at that job. And the lecturer knew. Because he was seated beside me. And he wasn't. But his closest friend was. So perhaps not. Perhaps. They were not close friends. But lecturers talk to each other. So that's all it took to fail college. And that's not true. That's what I try to tell myself. But I'm not wrong. If I wanted to fail college, I should have done just what I have. Telling that girl to be a nun was a good thing to do. And the girl was interested in television. And all that's true. But it's not. The girl didn't become a prostitute. And the other girl did take journalism. Because both of those things are right to believe. When you try to do the right thing, sometimes you don't. But when you do what you are told, sometimes it's not right. So I advise you not to tell the girl to be a nun. because that's how to fail at college. And the other girl should be told to be a television journalist, that's how to succeed at college. Because don't think they don't notice things that are practical. If they had noticed, they would have noticed I cared. But they would have said that that doesn't matter in the real world. And they would have been wrong. Caring about others does matter. But so does doing your job. If I explained the options, I could have talked about journalism. And I did that. There are two options, print and media journalism. And that was true at this school. But I didn't understand practical radio was an option. At least not in first year. And it turned out I was good at that. As good as anyone else. So I thought so. So I told the girl I was a good journalist. And I didn't. I told her I was failing. That things didn't look good. That there was no bread on the table. And that's why she believed me, because I was only 10 stone. And I wish that were true. But I wasn't even that. So maybe I told the truth, that she might fail. But maybe I didn't. Maybe she could have succeeded. So I should have been a success. I should have done practical radio, but it wasn't allowed. Not until second year. So I couldn't prove myself to her. Because my grades were very low and the lecturer thought I was a good journalist. He said so. But that didn't help my self-esteem. So if you want to fail at college, tell others it's not worth doing. Tell them there is no hope. Because that's why I'm writing this book. To tell you that you can't succeed. And that's true. Not if you do the same thing as I did. Because I told a lecturer he was a communist. And one day he had a decision to make. He had to decide whether I passed or failed. So I was told he wanted me to do an essay. A very good one. On the freedom of the press. And then he would give me a pass. Perhaps he was only joking. But I was told by the same fellow that he really liked my essay. So he thought it was good enough. But he failed me. Maybe he remembered all of the harsh things I said. I think so. He didn't understand I was joking. And I wasn't. I believed he was CIA. But I didn't. I had reason to believe he was KGB. And I didn't. I just read it in a book. Who's who? I thought he was the same man, because he was good with computers. And he installed an Apple Macintosh in the journalism lab. And I thought he was too good with them. So I need help. And I did. But not a psychiatrist. A friend. Someone who would tell me I was wrong. But my best friend told me I was right. He thought it was fun to trick me. He told me he went to communist meetings with my lecturer. And maybe he was joking. But he sounded serious. So I never liked my lecturer. So that's the way to fail at college, to believe wrong things. To read who's who, and not be sure of your facts. So I have learned by my mistakes. I would be nice to him today. Because he liked me at first. But he always seemed to be on the prowl. Because I saw him once driving in a car around the residential college. And he said hello. We were on first name terms. But I thought he must have something to do with the KGB. I had a Cold War mentality. Because I believed I lived in the Dark Ages. But this was before the fall of communism. But only just, so communism was still around. But I shouldn't have believed my lecturer was one. Even if he was. And that's not true. I should have been tolerant. I should have said, so he is a communist, what business is it of mine? But I rang a CO and I didn't. I thought I should. Because they were advertising for people to work for them. And I thought it would be a good job. So I had a real live spy on my hands, who could be caught. And I didn't try hard. I tried very hard. To get him to admit he was a communist. And that's just not true. But I joked a lot. Behind his back. So I guess he heard. And communist or not, he didn't seem to mind. Until the last day. The last day of my course. Then he said you failed, because I was a communist. And he didn't. He said you failed because you didn't do the work. And that wasn't true. I failed because I didn't read the newspaper, because that was part of the work. To answer questions about the newspaper first thing in the morning. When I was at my worst. So I never could pass. And I didn't realize that. I thought it was because he was a communist. Instead it was a quiz every morning. And whether I thought it was right or not, it was part of the work. So I should have gotten up early and read the newspaper. And I did try. But it wasn't my newspaper. It was one academics liked. And I found it boring. So I should have suggested they use my newspaper. If I wanted to fail. And I wanted to. Because I suggested exactly that. What I have been saying is not true. That I'm a failure. Because I have been saying that I did everything wrong. But I did one thing right. I worked very hard. And I got very little credit. Because I didn't know how to work hard. And I did. To work hard. I had to start in the morning. I had to go to college. I had to go through driving rain on a little bike that I had bought with my last $300. So it may have cost more. But to me, it was $300. Because I loved a bike. It got me to college.